Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be beginning the section on the Civil War. And we can't talk about the Civil War without talking about how slavery has divided the nation at this time. Different perspectives on the issue of slavery. From the nation's earliest days, the issue of slavery divided Americans. As the nation expanded, the problem became more pressing. Should slavery be allowed in the new Western territories? Southerners said yes, but many Northerners said no. This image here shows the city of New York in 1855. And now I know everyone watching this video, not everyone has been to New York City, but you know, think about how you've seen it portrayed in movies and TV shows, and then look at this picture. As you can tell, it's a much different place nowadays. Sectional differences. After the American Revolution, the North and the South developed distinctly different ways of life. Even though most Northerners still lived in rural areas or small towns where people grew their own food, the North also developed a number of busy cities, embraced technology and industry, and built factories staffed by paid workers who now shifted to using their wages to purchase things that rural people produced for themselves. As immigrants arrived in northern ports, the North became an increasingly diverse society. The South, on the other hand, remained an agrarian or agricultural society. The Southern economy and way of life was based largely on a single crop, cotton. To grow cotton, Southern planters depended on the labor of enslaved African Americans. The Wilmot Proviso sparks controversy. Americans had long avoided the troubling issue of the expansion of slavery, but when the United States gained new territories as a result of the Mexican War in the late 1840s, the nation had to decide whether to admit these lands as slave territories or free territories. The delicate balance of power between North and South, free and slave, depended on this decision. During the early days of the Mexican War, Pennsylvania Congressman David Wilmot had predicted the dilemma. He proposed a law stating neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall ever exist in any lands won from Mexico. Southerners angrily denounced the Wilmot Proviso. The Northern-dominated House of Representatives approved the law, but the Senate voted it down. Northern perspectives on slavery. Slavery ended early but slowly in the North. By 1800, there were about 50,000 enslaved people in the North, compared to nearly 1 million in the South. In 1860, there were still 18 slaves in New Jersey, but none in other northern states. Still, most white Northerners at the time viewed African Americans as inferior. Laws in the northern states severely limited the rights of free African Americans and discouraged or prevented the migration of more. As a result, many white Northerners had little personal experience with African Americans, slave or free, and only a few held strong opinions about slavery. A vocal minority of Northerners were abolitionists, or people who wanted to end slavery. They believed that slavery was morally wrong. Some abolitionists favored a gradual end, while others demanded that all slavery be outlawed at once. Not all Northerners wanted to end slavery. Some white Northern bankers, mill owners, and merchants earned a lot of money on Southern cotton and tobacco, or by trading and transporting enslaved people. They were sympathetic to Southern plantation owners and did not want to abolish slavery. Some Northern workers, especially those in unskilled, low-paying jobs, also opposed abolition, fearing that freed slaves might come north and compete with them for work. So we're seeing here that there are different opinions about slavery all over the country. It really wasn't a clear-cut, 100% for or 100% against in any part of the country. There were people of all opinions all over the country. So we're seeing just how much of a complicated, complex situation this had become. Southern perspectives on slavery. Slavery was an integral part of Southern life. Many Southerners believed that God intended that African Americans should provide the labor for white, civilized society. In a speech before Congress in 1837, planter John Calhoun of South Carolina firmly defended and even praised the virtues of slavery. "I hold it to be a good," he said, "and it will continue to prove so if not disturbed by the spirit of abolition." Calhoun's words expressed the feelings of many white Southerners. By the 1850s, many Southern politicians, journalists, and economists had begun to argue that the Northern free labor system harmed society more than slavery did. Southerners claimed that enslaved people were healthier and happier than Northern wage workers. A few Southerners, however, were outspoken in their belief that slavery actually harmed the Southern economy. Kentuckian James G. Birney, North Carolinian Hinton Rowan Helper, and other Southerners who spoke out against slavery were often ostracized by their neighbors. Slavery's effect on the 1848 election. The Wilmot Proviso had given the nation's political parties a new focus. In the 1848 presidential campaign, both Democrats and Whigs split over the question of whether to limit the expansion of slavery. New political factions emerged, with slavery at the center of the debate. Okay, we have here a poster talking about the election of 1848. It says here, former President Martin Van Buren was the Free Soil candidate for the presidency in 1848. Now, the Free Soil Party is what is called a third party, meaning that it wasn't one of the main two parties that we have in our country. And you'll learn more about political parties and third parties and all of that sort of thing whenever you take civics. The Free Soil Party. Several factions united in support of the Wilmot Proviso to form the new Free Soil Party, pledged to a national platform of freedom that would resist the aggressions of the slave power. They nominated New Yorker Martin Van Buren as their candidate for president. The Free Soil Party promised free soil, free speech, free labor, and free men. Their main goal was to keep slavery out of the Western territories. Whigs and Democrats put the choice to voters. For decades, the major parties, the Whigs and Democrats, had avoided the slavery issue, thus managing to win support in both the North and the South. In 1848, they hoped once again to attract voters from all sides of the slavery debate. But with the Free Soilers calling for limits to slavery in the territories, the major parties were forced to take a stand. Both Democrats and Whigs addressed the problem by embracing the idea of popular sovereignty, a policy stating that voters in a territory, not Congress, should decide whether or not to allow slavery there. This idea had wide appeal since it seemed in keeping with the traditions of American democracy. Furthermore, it allowed Whigs and Democrats once again to focus on the personal exploits and triumphs of their candidates rather than on the issues. The Whigs nominated Zachary Taylor, a general and a hero of the Mexican War. The Democrats put forward Governor Lewis Cass of Michigan. Cass opposed the Wilmot Proviso and supported popular sovereignty. Taylor, who was primarily a military man, revealed little of his political opinions, but Taylor was a slave-holding Louisiana planter. So many Southern voters automatically assumed that he supported slavery. When the votes were counted, Taylor won the election, with slim majorities in both northern and southern states. Van Buren did not carry any states, but he did draw sufficient votes to cost Cass the election. The Free Soil Party, which had won 10% of the vote with its anti-slavery platform, had clearly captured Americans' attention. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. I hope everybody's having a great day, and I'll see you again real soon.